I wanted to touch on the topic of photometric data and the data that we use within a lighting calculation program like Lighting Reality. Within Lighting Reality, when we click Choose Luminaire, it goes through this building database process, and it is reading the directory structure of the lanterns, so that when you go into a particular folder, it will then reveal the folder that is below that, and then ultimately you will get a list of photometry like so, and then you can go through and do the necessary calculations that you need and want to do to produce the design, the light levels, etc, etc, etc. So obviously we carry a number of different manufacturers within Lighting Reality, and depending on where you are in the world, you will find that the photometry that is available to you will be different and hopefully more regional and specific than just a bunch of photometry. But nonetheless, it may well be that you don't have the photometry that you want for that particular manufacturer. So you can go to their website, you can download it, you can speak to the local representative and get him to or her to provide you with the photometry, or their technical department or their photometry section, or whatever it happens to be, and they can email that to you, and you can then add that into the program. So I'm just going to close Lighting Reality down for now. I won't save that, and we will then go to the folder where we store the data. Now, the default location to store photometry is C, Program Data, Lighting Reality, PM Data. Now, that is a hidden folder within a standard Windows installation. So there are people who get confused between program data and program files, and it is program data where the information goes to. So if you can't see that folder, you need to go to your control panel. You go to File, Explorer, Options, go to the View tab, and then in here you need to make sure that this Show Hidden Files and Folders option, this radio button here, is ticked, so is highlighted. So it's probably set to that by default. So you click that, select OK, and then what you will find is that that folder will then become available. Now there's a couple of ways that we can add the photometry into this. You can go through and set up a folder, and I have a folder and the way that we normally suggest is that you create a folder which is called My Data or My Photometry or something like that, but you can create a new folder. Let's call it Extra Data, which is fine, but what you will find is that Extra Data will sit halfway down the list because it becomes between D and F. What I tend to find is if you use a symbol at the front like underscore, then what that will do is it will push it to the top of the list. That's one of the reasons why we have the historic folder here with underscore historic, because it sits at the top of the list. So I've got my extra data folder here. I then go to wherever it is that I want to drag the data from, and let's say I want to bring that folder and that folder across into here, and those folders have now been added. Windows has finished copying those files. I can now go back into Lighting Reality, and when I go to choose Luminaire, it will go through and read the data structure again. It will rebuild the database, and you will see that at the top of the list I've got my extra data here, and then the photometry that I want to use to go add that in. So one of the words of caution on this is that if you're running an evaluation version, you may well find that adding the extra data in there won't work. Whilst you can actually go physically add the folder, is that the calculations won't be carried out using that photometry. So if you have an issue with that, or we find that the demo data that we provide here is adequate to allow people to evaluate the program to see how it works and make sure it does everything you want it to do. If you're a manufacturer and you want to try it with your own photometry, then please drop us an email to support@lightingreality.com, and we can maybe look at that for you in some way. Now, one of the areas that we do get problems with to do with photometry is that, let's say for the sake of argument, somebody will get some new photometry from iGuzzini, and what they then do is they go and take that photometry and they drag it into the iGuzzini folder, which is fine, because what will then happen is that when you go to here, you go to choose luminaire, you go to the iGuzzini folder, then that photometry will be present, which is great. But when we do photometric updates from the option up here, and then we go to next, and then we go to iGuzzini, that's not in my list, but anyway, that's not the point. Once we select a manufacturer and then select download and install, then the first thing that we do is we obviously download the photometry, but when we, as part of the installation process it's doing now, is the first thing it does is it will delete that folder, and that will include any photometry that we've put in there as part of our actually the JW, but so what it will do is it will delete all of the folders that are in here, including any data that you've added into that folder. And we find that does create problems for people. So what we normally suggest is that you use either extra data, my photometry, or something to that effect, and then within that you have a subfolder for a manufacturer. So let's say you want to add some data in here for JW UK. You go to there. You then go to the data on the wherever it is you store it, and then bring in the photometry for JW, and let's say we want to go with wherever the photometric data is. I've got an install routine. But anyway, you just drag the data across, and I'll just drag something across so I've got something in there. So yeah, so it brings the data across, and then we've got the photometry in there. We normally suggest that what people do is if they're adding extra data, is make sure that Lighting Reality is not running in the background, and you close it down and then reload it. And then what you will find is that within that folder, I put it in, which was my data. Then you'll see there's a JW folder, and then various bits and pieces of information that I've added into that. So the third option is you can go browse to the data, and you can browse to any oops, I don't want to do that at that point. You browse to a particular folder. Let's say we want to go to here, we want to go to a particular manufacturer, say Industria, and we want to add that folder there. And then if you select add to database, it will then give you the option to put a name in there, and it will then go through the rebuilding process of the database. And what you will then find is that you've now got another folder at the bottom here called 2500, which is reading that information from that particular folder that you've selected. Now you can have as many as you want of these particular folders. So I can add the whole of the Industria section in, select OK. It will rebuild the database again. And then at the bottom of the list, you will have that that other folder there. You can see I've got extra folders in there. That's the 2500 folder that I was looking at before. But I've also got the 2600, and I've got the 2850 as well, and any of the other subfolders that are in there as well. Now, One of the advantages with adding the data in that way is that the information can reside in a central repository. It may be on a network drive, it may be on a server or a NAS drive or something like that, and then multiple people can have access to the same photometry, which is fine. One of the downsides to that is that you then become reliant on the speed of the network, and also that network being available. You know, the servers do go down occasionally. That then creates a problem for Lighting Reality to deal with that. So, and we have a separate help section which will help you with deleting that if you need to do it. So that is the simplest way to do it, is just to go to browse to it and then browse to the folder, select the manufacturer, and add to database, select OK. And then that will then add that particular manufacturer to that folder, and then you can then go through and use that lantern to do whatever design work it is that you want. The advantage is that next time you close Lighting Reality down and then you reopen it again, what you will then find is that when you go to choose luminaire, is that all of those folders will then be available at the bottom. In an ideal world, you're better adding that data from a drive that is attached to your computer directly, physically, so it actually resides within the machine itself, so that if you're disconnected from the network, then it's not going to create problems. So and that data is still there. So you can choose any of those methods to add extra data to the program, and use that work to do the necessary design work that you want to do. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, video requests, and other support questions, there's a whole different selection of ways that you can contact me or Lighting Reality through social media. Obviously, if you're watching this video on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel that you're watching it on. Nick Smith Associates Training is my own YouTube channel, and Lighting Reality Support is the Lighting Reality YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like the video. If you did like it, hit the like button below. It helps us with our rankings within Google and Bing and the other search engines, so on. You can contact me through LinkedIn. Nick Smith, obviously the company's Nick Smith Associates. I'm based in Chesterfield, England, and send me a message for us to connect. And you can contact me via email, support@nicksmithassociates.com, or Lighting Realities. That will come directly to me. Support@lightingreality.com will go to the Lighting Reality support desk, where they may be able to answer the question. If they can't, they'll send it on to me. If you have any questions or things you want to follow on Twitter, @NickSmith1246 on Twitter, or @Lighting is the Lighting Reality email. And lastly, the websites nicksmithassociates.com and lightingreality.com are the two websites that you can go take a look at and see all the services that both the companies offer. And if you have any questions, any video requests, or other support questions, please do come back to us and contact us, and we will deal with those as best we can. Thank you very much for watching.